Now You Know BC is brought to you by Return It. Don't trash your empty beverage containers. Return them for the deposit refund.
Welcome to Now You Know BC. I'm Bob Kronbauer, also known as BC Bob, and on this show I introduce you to interesting people, places to go, things to see, things that have happened in the past. You'll hear our collective stories, and this week I'm going to tell you about the Shakespeare names along the Coquihalla Highway, the toll booth where you used to get charged $10 going in either direction. I'm going to tell you about a gallows on the side of Highway 3, my great-grandmother's death by explosion next to the Alaska Highway, and more. Let's dig in. Did you know that the reason why you see Shakespeare names on signs all along the side of the Coquihalla Highway is because an engineer of the old railway that was built along its route was just a big fan of William Shakespeare? It's true. As you're driving the Coke, you'll see Othello, Romeo, Juliet, Portia, Iago, Lear. The names came from the engineer who was brought in to design the old Kettle Valley Railway, which followed almost the exact same route. In fact, most of the Coquihalla is built right on top of the old rail bed that went from Midway in the east all the way to Hope in the west. That is the old KVR. The engineer's name was Andrew McCullough, and he was brought on in 1910. It's said that he'd sit around the campfire with the folks who were building the railway, reciting Shakespearean poems to them. And the story goes that he named the railway stations along the line after those characters. One of the old stations was near what is now known as Othello Tunnels. You might know that one. It was built along the Coquihalla Gorge, just east of Hope, where over millions of years the river cut a 300-foot deep channel into the solid granite. Other engineers suggested a mile-long tunnel bypassing the gorge, but the Shakespeare fan made a bold decision to just build directly through it. The workers used cliff ladders, suspension bridges, and ropes to complete what is, to this day, regarded as a spectacular engineering feat, in which you can walk through if you visit Coquihalla Canyon Provincial Park. Or at least you could walk through it. The flooding that took out the huge portions of the Coquihalla Highway in 2021 also affected aspects of the park, and they've been working on repairing it all for years. For those who don't remember, the Coquihalla Highway used to be a toll highway. At the summit, there was a toll station where every single car had to stop. One's heading down to the coast and one's heading back in the other direction to the interior. $845 million was collected at the toll booth by the year 2008. Which was almost what it cost to build the highway more than 20 years before that. So, then Premier Gordon Campbell announced that they were removing the tolls, and the booths disappeared overnight. The memorable experience that I had being forced to stop there was in the mid-90s. I had driven my Oldsmobile Omega to Vancouver from Vernon so I could go skateboarding with my friends in the big city. The fuel pump on the thing ended up dying in Kitsilano at the top of the hill, so we pushed it down to the Canadian Tire that used to be at the foot of the Burrard Street Bridge, where the Lululemon headquarters are now. The cost of the repairs was more than I had, so I borrowed some cash from my sister who had come along for the trip. When the car came out of the shop, we had $0 in cash left, so we started driving home, and when we got to the toll booth, my sister handed them her debit card. And that's when we realized, or maybe just remembered, that they didn't accept debit. This was back in the dark ages, and it was credit or cash only. And I believe the credit card was using those machines that went clunk clunk. The person working at the toll booth told us that we had to turn around, that we couldn't keep going. The person who was in the car behind us then honked and waved as they rolled by. And we were like, "Screw you, dude," until the person from the toll booth walked out and told us that that person had actually pulled over and paid for us. They paid our toll. It was only $10, but it was huge for us. We were essentially stranded and we were scared, and this kind stranger, they saved us. To this day, I often look back to that very moment when I'm paying it forward. Sometimes a gesture might feel like a small thing to you, but it could be a huge deal for someone else. And now you know. Each week, I show you an artifact that I think is an important part of BC's history. And this week, I found one lapel pin that CBC reporter Justin McElroy might not own. Justin is a municipal affairs reporter for CBC BC, and he owns a pin for every single town and city in this province. In fact, when he started collecting them, I made him a bet that I would be able to collect them all before he did. I don't remember what we actually bet, but I lost. AirCare was a program that ran from the 90s until 2014, and it was the bane of many people's existence. Every 2 years, before ICBC would insure your car, you had to pay $35 to go into an AirCare testing facility. They would put a hose on your exhaust pipe, make you rev the engine, and test how many emissions came out. If it was too many, you'd have to get your car repaired until it passed the test. And it was a huge pain in the butt, but it helped reduce emissions. As cars started to become less polluting, because that's the way the industry was going, less and less cars started failing the test, and it got to the point where it was redundant, so they canceled the program in 2014. This pin is special for two reasons. One is obvious, that it brings us back to a simpler time. It's a sweet pin. Not so sweet that I'd pay the $12.50 plus $16.76 US in shipping on this thing though. I did not buy this, but it would be a good one if you came across it in a thrift store for 50 cents. The second reason it's important is because it was made in BC. I don't know any factories that are still making these pins here these days. Lapel pins like this one are common, but most of the ones you see are made overseas. Buttons are made here. There's a company called 6 Cent Press in Vancouver that makes buttons, but I'm pretty sure die-cast pin making like this is a lost industry. If I'm wrong and you know any companies that are manufacturing these locally, please email me and let me know. I promise that I will do a how it's made segment in a future episode here. That would be incredible. And now you know. We're gonna go to break, and when we get back, we're gonna talk to two of the best improv performers in this city. Welcome back to Now You Know BC. Today I'm talking about highways and driving in BC. My guests are Ryan Beal and Taz Van Rassel, who are two of the driving forces behind the long-running improv show called The Sunday Service. It's their 20th year. Guys, thanks for coming in.
Wow, thanks for having us.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Move your
Very
pen.
welcome.
Well,
Yes.
I do 2 handshakes.
Yeah.
So, you do a podcast.
Yeah.
But together we do the Sunday Service Improv Show every Sunday, 8 p.m., Fox Cabaret on Main Street in Vancouver,
For the
BC.
past 20 years,
20
since
years,
2005.
That's a long time.
Okay, are we done? Should we?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all.
That's good.
No,
No.
what I want to do is, you guys know this, I go and I watch their show every once in a while. I was gonna say I go there all the time.
You
But
pulled
guys
back.
know I'm lying.
You pulled back.
But
You were
when
gonna
I
say
go,
every week.
I sit in the front.
Yeah, you're front row.
Yeah.
One time you had like groceries.
I had my dog's kibble that I had taken.
And you just had it with you.
And it ended up being in a
Oh,
scene.
we used it. Yes, we did.
And so that sparked me to get you guys here so that I can have a front row seat and maybe you guys could tell some
Yeah.
jokes. Is
Cool.
this
Absolutely.
uncomfortable though? Like when
No, I'm very comfortable. This chair is.
I feel like a stand-up comedian wouldn't want you to be like, okay, tell me a joke, but
Right.
you guys don't mind doing a scene.
Well, we don't
We'll
just
do
do
a
jokes. You know,
yeah.
we do scenes, stories, theater, weaving.
Characters.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not very
Topical, political.
No, we never touch
No,
that.
not
We're
really.
uninformed.
It's evergreen.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, but we'll do some improv here.
Yeah,
Do you like driving or highways
I think that's
related
perfect
or
because
Yeah.
this kind of
something?
seems like it could be a car, or if you were in England.
We've
you would
driven
be-
many highways in BC together.
We've been on tour comedy shows.
Any good stories from that?
We got stuck in Jasper once.
We did, and neither of us had a credit card, so we had to call his dad.
My more successful.
There's another story about that in this episode.
Oh,
You'll
is
have to
there?
watch the episode.
Oh, I'd love to see
Okay,
it.
so other unsuccessful artists on the road that could not
Me.
support themselves
Yes.
during an
yeah.
emergency?
Ah,
It was
okay,
me.
we've got so
Cool.
much in common.
We do have a lot in common.
Cool.
Okay,
We're
well, we
older
don't have much
now.
time left in this segment. We should get to the improv, right?
Okay. Sure, yeah.
Unbelievable. Okay.
Okay, Bob, so why don't we, you're our audience, why don't we get some suggestions from you? Okay, so,
face
first of all, who's driving? Taz
You're
or me?
driving.
I'm driving, so
Okay.
we are in North America,
You are,
Cool.
presumably.
Yes.
Okay, what's a reason why two people would be stuck somewhere on the road, a la our landslide situation in Jasper, and whatever
I
happened
was
to
gonna
you?
say landslide, but maybe a fruit truck has
a fruit truck. Perfect.
Sounds
Say no more.
Okanagan.
That's
Yeah.
great. Maybe
That's-
who knows? We'll see.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's good enough. We're stuck
That's
behind a fruit truck. And maybe we'll use you. Maybe we won't.
Yeah, if you need me.
Okay. Pick up those bananas and get back on the road. This is unbelievable. We've been 25 minutes just waiting.
What?
Here. Sorry. Well, I'm just sorry. I'm just admonishing the gentleman who's driving the fruit truck in front of
What?
us.
Oh, I have my sleep mask on.
You are. Do you have anything else to take off before you can converse with me? Your sensory deprivation is not kind of helpful to the road trip vibes.
I will put my pants on.
Okay, you know what? Look, let's just talk about what we're gonna do when we get there. This is a big weekend for you and me, okay?
Yeah.
We're reconnecting as roommates.
In a Soyuz.
In a Soyuz BC, deserty.
Yeah, but also watery.
Okay, so let's list our top 3 things we want to do. Excuse me, it's watery and deserty?
There's a lake.
Yeah. So for me, I'm interested in going for a few nice walks, have one nice lunch together, and maybe share some hopes and dreams. You?
I want to do one of those jetpack water jetpack that you get on the water and it shoots the water and shoots you up. It's like a jet, but the water is the jet.
That's your number one thing you want to do on our big roommate reconnection weekend?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this way. Pick up the bananas already! It's like, why is he have to pick them up one at a time? Yep. Okay. What are you listening to, anyways?
A podcast.
What's the podcast?
It's about the Yoga Pogo.
Oh, you and your supernatural beliefs. There's no such thing as an Ogopogo.
Yeah, and I don't think it's in this lake.
No, it's in Lake Okanagan.
Okanagan.
I corrected myself.
Yes.
Here's a fellow passing motorist.
Oh, it's one of those people that got out of their car because everything stopped.
It's what's happening over here.
Hey.
This guy with the bananas, where does
Picking
he
him up.
even think he is?
On a highway, how long you been in line up for?
Just a while.
Okay,
Cool.
let's just roll up the window. That guy's.
Yeah, he looks like a Shambhala
Hey,
guy. You going to Shambhala?
You go to Shambhala?
I was wondering if you guys, I'm only 17, I'm wondering if you guys could buy me some cannabis at the cannabis dispensary down the street.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think so. No, I can't. No.
It's not illegal, technically.
Well, I mean, like, I would maybe feel. For me personally, that's a bridge too far. You know what? No, I'm gonna say no. I'm sorry.
Fine, okay.
Okay.
See ya.
Hey, do you know the jet? Do you know the water jet thing?
Oh, look, okay, it's all clear now.
Now that guy's far away from his
What if I should
car.
have bought that kid pot? No, I'll never know.
Maybe.
Oh no, Cliff!
And
And they fell out.
that's improv.
And that's improv. That's all you got.
Yeah.
We didn't even have to get up.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
How did I do?
You were great.
great.
Thanks.
You presented a real high stakes problem.
Yeah. I'm sorry if me saying you're from Shambhala was offensive to you.
I didn't take it personally.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I love
because I didn't.
Good.
I
Yeah.
didn't-
A lot of nice people there.
Have you guys been to Shambhala?
Never.
No, never.
Like a lot of things, just
that
make
was a
fun of
lot.
it from a distance.
That was a lot of fun. And you guys travel for improv stuff.
Not a lot.
Not anymore.
A bit? Yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we don't go anywhere. We just do Sundays because it's easy.
But we have in the past.
It's really fun. And I would recommend everybody to go to the Sunday service on Sundays, 8 o'clock at the
Fox Cabaret.
Awesome. Welcome back to Now You Know BC. Nina is out on the street talking to people about driving. Nina.
I'm Nina Savage, and this is Street Survey. Today we are surveying people on the street, about the street, on Street Survey. What is your number one driving pet peeve on the road?
I hate it when people merge into the lane without signaling. It's so annoying. People who forget to do that remind me of that Family Guy meme where it's like, good luck everyone else, I turn now.
How much signal I need to cut across 8 lane? None? I turn now. Good luck, everybody else.
I think pedestrians that just kind of walk and then look at their phone.
Not stopping at a stop sign fully.
Traffic here is insane. It gets crazy, especially with the people crossing all the time.
Driving through gas town is a nightmare. Always has been.
Coming in here, there are 3 lanes that merge to 1. So that makes it a bit hard.
Distracted driving. Don't do it.
So what's it like being a passenger princess in Vancouver?
It's a lot. It's a full-time job, really. There's a lot of anger that passenger princesses have to deal with that isn't like acknowledged, I think, in the driving community. For instance, the anger from the driver and also from everybody else.
You're on a late night drive. What's your go-to route?
the highway. It's so fun to drive fast.
Honestly, I love going up to Golden Ears, like after dark, and you can like see the stars and all the trees. It's really pretty.
Probably Sunshine Coast and No Soyuz, that kind of thing, yeah.
I mean, even when you're driving by yourself on the Coquihalla, you are kind of part of a pack of drivers. And, you know, everyone just kind of is sharing the road and being safe. And it's kind of a community on the road.
How do you express your road rage when you have to?
I like a little like a little bit of that, or just like you know, so they know, but not like with my words, because I don't want to do that. I don't want to get into that.
I think I just talk to myself and like maybe listen to some metal or something, yeah.
What would you rate your own driving out of 10?
A solid 7.
I would say 9.
8 or 9?
This one goes to 11.
How would you say British Columbian drivers are?
Below average.
Would you say that Alberta or BC has better drivers?
I think Canada has all the best people and drivers.
I'm relieved to discover that we share the road with some pretty great drivers in BC. This is Street Survey, and I'm Nina Savage.
We're going on a BC road trip to Salmon Arm on the traditional territory of the CHEK Nation, and the first thing we need to talk about is how this place got its colonial name. There's a fairly new snowboard glove company in BC called Salmon Arms, plural, and their logo is a salmon that has arms. The city of Salmon Arm was not named after the arms of a salmon. It's located on the southwest arm of Shuswap Lake. That's the part of the lake that salmon used to migrate to in such huge numbers that farmers would pitchfork them and use them as fertilizer for their crops. There are 4 main arms of Shuswap Lake, and this is the salmon arm, as it were. Some things you need to check out when you're in town are first, the Prestige Harborfront Resort that's right on the water. This is where I stayed the last time I was here, and it's walking distance to a lot of the best spots in town. Not least of all, the best Mexican restaurant in the area, Cantina Vallarta. I was only in Salmon Arm for a few days, but I went to this place a few times. It's authentic, they have great pina coladas, and it's run by a super nice family. And speaking of drinks, there are a couple of cideries in town, and one of them has frozen cider. Not quite frozen. I mean, they have a slushy machine that they put alcoholic cider in for an adult slushy. It's called North Yard Cider, and the owner reached out to me recently and told me that they're actually expanding the offering of the slushies. You should go there in the summer and check it out. Next, if you're down for a walk, check out one of the longest curved freshwater piers in all of North America. It's just a quick walk from the Prestige Inn, and it's 440 feet long. The original one was built here because of the mud flats at this part of the lake. The salmon arm of the lake, steamships kept getting stuck in them like 100 years ago. So they built a super long wharf. And one thing to look out for when you're on this super long wharf is the monster of Shuswap Lake. You probably never even heard of it, but it's much like the Ogopogo in this area, except it hasn't really caught on. And its name is Shuswagi. People have been reporting sightings of this since the early 1900s, and I don't know why I'm gendering him, but it's said that he looks like a gigantic bear, a moose, or an eel, depending on who you ask. That's a lot of different things to look like. He's reportedly 25 feet long. The Secwepemc folks, they don't have a story about Shuswagi because he is entirely a colonial creature. And there are no convincing videos, photos, or even stories that I've heard. But it could be out there. Maybe I just need to spend some more time looking for him and finding people who claim to have seen him. I'll go back to Salmon Arm and revisit this one next season. You should go too. You might see Shuswagi. Probably not, but you might. Welcome back to the show. We're gonna do a giveaway, but first I have a story about a gallows next to the highway. Did you know that in the 1950s, the BC government put out a sign next to a highway saying that we should hang people who start forest fires? It's true. The Parks Division, which was a part of the BC Forest Service and is now BC Parks, they put the sign up after a wildfire destroyed 5,700 acres of forest near Manning Park. On the top of the sign, it said, "Ye Old Manning Park Gallows." Below that was a giant cigarette hanging by a noose with the message, "The guy who dropped it should also be hanged. Prevent forest fires, BC Forest Service." At first, the sign said, "The guy who dropped it should be hanged." But they changed it to "the one who dropped it" to be more gender inclusive when talking about people that they think should be killed for their actions. The ironic thing is that the fire was actually caused by a campfire left unattended by a copper prospector, not by someone throwing a cigarette out a car window. The people at the Department of Highways, they were not fans of the sign, and they fought with the BC Parks folks until it was finally taken down. But it was there for years. Somebody even made postcards with a photo of it on them. Another story about fire and carnage next to a highway in BC is a lot more serious and actually involves my great-grandmother and her untimely death. So this is a cautionary tale and a reminder. Her name was Caroline, and her and my great-grandfather owned and operated a motel at mile 533 of the Alaska Highway. It's still there, and back in the day it was called the Coal River Lodge. The highway was built in World War II so that the Army would have a route that they could drive from the States up to Alaska through BC and back. Along with their motel, they operated a diner and they rented out 4 cabins, which it was my great-grandmother's job to clean. One morning she opened the door, flicked on the light switch, and boom, the cabin exploded. Just like we were always warned about as kids. If you smell gas, don't turn on the light switch because there's a tiny spark that could ignite an explosion. The reason why you smell gas is that a school once exploded in Texas and killed 394 children and teachers. A few months later, they introduced a scent to propane and natural gas. After the cabin blew up on my great-grandmother, they drove her to the hospital in Whitehorse, which was a 7-hour drive. She was pronounced dead on arrival. It was 1969 and she was 78 years old. She was still working at 78 years old. She had a pretty decent life until that day. And now you know. I'm giving away this Highway 3 Crowsnest Pass sweatshirt. Not this one because this one smells like me. It was along this very highway near Princeton where I shot the best nature photo of my entire life. It was a few years ago and I was the passenger in a minivan in the dead of winter. Up on a hill, I spotted a beast. I yelled, "Bobcat, pull over!" And my friend Greg, who was driving, did just that. I hopped out with my camera, managed to get a couple quick photos of this stunning creature before it disappeared over the ridge. This is the best one I got. It has nothing to do with this giveaway I'm doing. I just wanted an excuse to show you this photo because I'm extremely proud of this photo. The sweatshirt is embroidered at a shop called True North Screen Printing here in Vancouver, and my online store is the only place where you can buy it if you want to buy it. To enter to win one, just sign up for my free newsletter at bcbob.ca, where I'll be randomly selecting a winner. That's the show for this week. Big thanks to Ryan Beal and Taz Van Rassel, my favorite minivan driver Greg Crompton, Nina Savage and Derek Wong, and my editor Arav, everybody at CHEK, and lastly, thank you to everybody in BC who works in road building and maintenance, who keep our highways and our bridges in good shape. I hope you learned something this week, and I hope you get out there and have a nice drive somewhere. For more stories, you can follow me on Instagram, watch more episodes of this show on CHEK Plus, check out my merch at bcbob.ca, and I'll see you next week when I'll share more stories about this great province of ours. And now you know BC.
Now you know BC is brought to you by Return It. Don't trash your empty beverage containers. Return them for the deposit refund.